All right, let's talk OBS. If you're even thinking about streaming, you've probably downloaded it. It's awesome, it's powerful, it's free, but man, it comes with this one huge question that can literally stop you in your tracks. And that is the big one, right? What kind of PC do you actually need to run this thing smoothly? We're not talking about just getting the program to open. We're talking about a solid, professional-looking stream with zero lag, no drop frames, the whole deal. And the answer? Well, it really just depends on what you're trying to do. Okay, so just for a super quick refresher, OBS Studio, that's Open Broadcaster Software, is basically the standard for streamers everywhere. It's free, it's open source, and you can do almost anything with it, from simple screen recordings to crazy multi-camera setups. But all that power? Yeah, it needs some decent hardware behind it. So to help you figure out exactly what you need, we're going to break it all down. We'll look at 3 different setups: the just getting started build, the sweet spot for most people, and the full-on pro streamer rig. Let's find your perfect match. All right, kicking things off with the starter setup. This is what I'd call the please just work tier. It's the absolute bare minimum you need to get your foot in the door and start playing around with OBS. Okay, so look at these specs. A dual-core processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and a GPU that supports DirectX 10.1. That's some pretty old tech. And the good for part is crucial here. This setup will let you do some basic 720p screen recordings. But, and I really gotta stress this, if you try to stream something like Apex Legends or Warzone at 1080p with this machine, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna have a really, really bad time. This is strictly for the basics. Okay, so let's move on to what I like to call the sweet spot. This is the setup that we recommend for probably 90% of you watching. It's the perfect middle ground between cost and what you can actually do with it. And man, what a jump in performance. We're talking a 4 to 6 core CPU, like an Intel i5 or a Ryzen 5, and 16 gigs of RAM. Now you're in the big leagues. Smooth 1080p 30fps streaming is totally possible. But the real game changer here is that dedicated GPU with a hardware encoder. So what's that? Think of it like a little specialist living on your graphics card. Its only job is to crunch your video feed and get it ready to send out to the world. It takes all that pressure off your main processor, which means you can actually play your game and stream it at the same time without your whole system grinding to a halt. But what if you want more? You know, what if you're aiming for that buttery smooth 1080p at 60 frames per second? Or maybe you want to have all those fancy scenes and stingers and overlays for a super polished show. Well, my friend, that's when you graduate to the pro setup. Yeah, this is where we get into the serious hardware. An 8-core processor or better, 32 gigs of RAM, a modern NVIDIA RTX or high-end AMD card. This isn't just for bragging rights. This kind of power lets you hit that 1080p 60 target, which is pretty much the gold standard for fast-paced games. You could even start looking at 1440p streaming. With a rig like this, you can stream, record, and run a dozen other things all at once without even breaking a sweat. So we've talked CPUs, RAM, GPUs, the big 3. But listen, getting a smooth stream isn't just about the core specs. There are a couple of other things that can make or break your broadcast, and honestly, they might be even more important. And this right here, this is probably the #1 mistake new streamers make. So when OBS prepares your video to send out, that's called encoding. You have 2 choices: CPU encoding, also known as X264, or GPU encoding, like NVENC. Now, CPU encoding can look a little better if your internet is slow, but it absolutely hammers your processor. The much, much smarter choice for almost everyone is to let your graphics card do the work. It's way more efficient and leaves your CPU free to, actually run the game you're playing. So let me just spell it out. Use your GPU encoder. Seriously. Unless you're a super nerd with a specific reason and a monster CPU, just select NVENC if you have an NVIDIA card or the AMD equivalent. It is the secret to a stable stream. It's what prevents those awful dropped frames that make your viewers click away. Okay, let's talk about the hidden boss of streaming. You could have a $10,000 gaming PC, but if your internet is bad, it's all for nothing. And I'm not talking about your download speed for watching Netflix. When you're a creator, the only thing that matters is your upload speed. It's everything. So here are the magic numbers. For a basic 720p stream, you want a consistent 4 to 6 megabits per second upload. Bumping up to 1080p, you better have between 8 and 12. And for that glorious 1080p 60 stream, you're going to need a beefy 12 to 16 Mbps minimum. And one more thing, a really important pro tip: plug in an Ethernet cable.
Please, just do it. Wi-Fi is your enemy when it comes to live streaming. It's just not stable enough.
Ooh, okay, that was a lot of talk about specs and speeds, but what if you can't just go out and buy a new PC? What can you do right now for free to make your stream better? Well, I've got a quick action plan for you. Check these out. 4 simple things that can have a huge impact. First, inside OBS, there's an auto configuration wizard. Run it. It does a pretty good job of figuring out the best settings for your system. Second, if you're recording, make sure you're saving to an SSD, a solid-state drive, not an old spinning hard drive. Those are just too slow. Third, the easy one, close everything else. Close your browser tabs, close Discord, close anything you don't absolutely need running. And finally, keep your graphics card drivers updated. It sounds boring, but it really, really matters. And you know, all of this really boils down to one simple idea. It's not about having the most expensive, most powerful computer on the planet. It's about having the right computer for your goals. When your system is matched to your ambition, that's when you stop fighting with technology and you can just focus on making great content. So, as we finish up here, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Take a hard look at what you want to create, your ambition, and then look at your PC. Is your setup helping you get there, or is it the main thing holding you back? Figuring that out is your real first step. Thanks so much for tuning in.